Well, plans vary for kids heading back to school this fall. Some communities are sticking with remote learning, while others are offering a hybrid model. I spoke with Leah Hamilton, the Director of Education for the Barr Foundation, which provides grants to school districts across the state, about strategies to help educators and students excel during this time of uncertainty.
I don't think we could overstate that we're living through quite an extraordinary time and getting back to school. And the first thing we wanted to do as a funder in the space is just make ourselves available to our grantees and allow for some flexibility, and with the support that they had from us, knowing that folks were really in an emergency response mode at first. And then as we kind of got through the spring, we thought, how can we get organized to really support the folks who are working with our highest needs students and families to have the best start to the school year and the best continuation of learning as we possibly can, given all of the unknowns that we're all confronting and given what we're all learning as we go. And so we decided to set up what we called the Massachusetts Ready Fund. We did that with an $800,000 investment in partnership with an organization called Catalyst Ed. And the purpose was really to say, look, we recognize folks have multiple needs here, from figuring out operations. I think we've all heard a lot about districts delivering food differently and really mobilizing to get students technology at home and making sure their homes are connected to the internet so they could engage in that kind of remote learning. So there's that kind of work that needed to happen. And then there's all the rest of the things, like the core of school, which is about how are we connecting with all of our students and families? How are we making sure that they're engaging with us? And then how do we get them back into learning? And so we wanted to provide some support to meet districts and schools where they are in that process, allow them some flexibility in getting expert help with exactly what they needed at exactly the right time. And so the fund structure is how we decided to do that. And we've been happy to see that many folks around the state and also some other grantees around New England have taken advantage of it.
And what schools are you working with out in Western Mass?
So in Western Mass, we actually have quite a few partners. We're pleased to be able to partner with Springfield Public Schools, also with Holyoke. We also support the Empowerment Zone, some of its work in reimagining Commerce High School, and some of its work around teacher and school leadership. And then we also work with some charter schools like Veritas in preparing to start their high school in the region.
What would you say would be some of the strategies that really should be put in place as we start the school year? Some school districts are doing fully remote, some are doing a mix of hybrid. What do you mean by reimagine, and how should school districts proceed?
So that's a big question, and I think there's a lot we could tackle in there. So I think long term, what we are supportive of at Barr is helping folks to reimagine mostly how high school works for young people, so that they're really prepared to thrive after they leave us in their K-12 situation, thrive in post-secondary or in careers and throughout their lives, as they enter communities. What this opportunity provides is, we're all being forced to do things differently because of the challenges presented by this pandemic. So that's whether we're learning in person at the same time or remotely at the same time or remotely at different times using technology. How are we connecting with each other, both as professionals in schools? How are teachers being supported to still collaborate and continue to develop their strategies to support student learning? And also, how are we as teachers and school leaders and other stakeholders in schools staying connected to students? And I think there are things we can learn about what works in these extraordinary and challenging times that might help us solidify our vision or even accelerate progress toward it going into the future once we are through this crisis. So just a small example that I've heard from a grantee. One organization said, we've always really valued being in close touch with our parents, and we want to have great communication structures with parents. But getting turnout for parent meetings is challenging. I mean, parents are juggling, I know, as one, parents are juggling lots and lots of responsibilities, and it's hard to figure out all those pieces and always get to the meeting. But since COVID, they've been holding their virtual town halls. And I think the comment they made to us is, we'll never go back. It's reduced some of the barriers for parents to engage in us. We can talk to them more frequently. We can engage them on more issues around how we think we're doing, how do they think we're doing, how can we improve, and how can we support each other during this time. And so I think there are small things like that, and also potentially some larger learning that we can do during this time that helps us really propel our vision for how school can be done differently for students and families in the future.
I think you hit on a point where some kids actually, I think, thrive in the whole remote learning process for a variety of reasons. Maybe it is that one-on-one with a teacher who is communicating and able to help encourage that child or high school student continue on. On the other hand, there's this big concern about an achievement gap, which has been around for a long time, but you couple that with not the summer slide, but a slide potentially from March all the way until September. How do you help families know, if their kids are getting what they need as far as education, and how do you help teachers?
It's incredibly important, and I think, I was really struck as having a conversation with an education leader nationally, and he said to me, this could be an equity catastrophe that we're facing. And I think we've seen it in other aspects of managing COVID, that low-income students, students of color, certain communities are being disproportionately affected, and we shouldn't think that that won't apply to education as well. And so what can we do to intervene there? And some of the things that I've said, I think get to part of it, but one of them is, and we've seen many of our grantees really hungry for advancing this work, is how are we going to keep these issues of equity at the center of all of the decisions that we're making about how we're opening schools and how we're supporting students moving forward. And so by that, I mean, some things like, how are we going to know which students are logging on, which students are staying engaged? Are we looking at that information by groups of students, by subgroups of students? Are we organized as a team to address issues that come up as we look at that data together in a really rigorous and predictable way? How are we investing in supporting students to get more of what they need? Are we going to be more flexible in offering greater touch points with teachers, deeper supports for students? And I say all this understanding that it's incredibly challenging to do every piece of this, but I think it's important to really center on that intention that we're going to put equity at the center of our decision making, and that means really examining which students are still engaged with us and which students are moving forward in their learning and which students and families are disappearing, and how are we going to work to intervene there as soon as we're able to understand that that's happening from the data that we're looking at.
I think a lot of people might say, though, as far as the equity issue goes, then let's get all the kids back to school. And I think there's been some frustration from some parents, knowing, of course, that the union has their concerns and has made certain requests and demands as this has all unfolded. But, people might say, hey, listen, equity, let's get everybody back. And then we know they're in front of us.
I think we have to look at it a little differently and say, in these circumstances, we obviously have multiple things we have to balance, right? We have to balance staff and student safety. We have to address student and family needs. And I think that we can figure that there is not maybe one size fits all for that. That what we can do is that if we're in real dialogue with our students and families, if we're really committed to coming together as a diverse set of stakeholders with the intention of putting our students at the center of our decision making, then we can figure out a solution that is best for our school community. And there's a second part to that, which is if we are committed to examining what is actually happening with students as we implement our solutions, and we're able to make adjustments to what we're doing based on what we learn about who is being successful and who is not, then you can see sort of equity really drive the work going forward. So I think equity doesn't have to be one size fits all, but it does have to be a commitment to doing what needs to be done so that everyone has an opportunity to be successful.